Welcome back to the shop, everybody. So I've made a decision that's going to set me back a little bit, but I think in the long run it will be much better. So as I mentioned in the last video, this is very wavy and not flat. I think that when I'm actually using it as a template, that's going to end up becoming an issue. So I have actually went out and spent another $50 for a 1/2-inch piece of plywood that is absolutely nice and flat. So the first thing I got to do today is I'm going to go ahead and take this piece off of here. I got to transfer all the markings that are on here onto there. Then I can start cutting it out and actually doing some more planning. Now I made sure that I brought all of the measurements today for the trailer right here that I showed you in the last video. And so hopefully I'll actually be able to start, one, cutting on this, and two, maybe even have the entire template done by the end of the day. But that's going to require one heck of a time lapse. In case you're wondering what it was that I was just setting up and using, it is actually this. It's a marking wheel, and I'll tell you what, I didn't think that I was gonna like this thing as much as I do. It is a little pricey, but let me show you guys real quick how it works. So how this works is that there are measurements on the rod here, and what you're supposed to be able to do is you can go up to 2 inches here and tighten down the micro adjustment. And if you're not right on that 2, you can then spin it here, and it gets either closer or further away from that 2. So yeah, you can definitely micro adjust it, and then once you have it right where you want it, you just lock this down. Now this comes with several different ends. This one here, you're gonna wanna use your tape measure to make sure that it is even, because this little adapter here adds like 1/4 of an inch or so onto the measurement here. So once you have your measurement set up properly, you just put this up against your piece of wood, and then you can mark all the way around it. And it comes in really handy, especially going around that radius, where otherwise you'd have to measure out every couple of inches to be able to make that radius. And this thing came in really handy for that. Now, what if you need something a little more accurate than a pencil? Well, that's why this kit here comes with 3 different ends on it. It has a metal marking tip, which is just a very sharp metal point, as well as 2 sharp wheels, which I'll go ahead and put on here now, and the screws to attach them. Now how you adjust this is pretty easy. This kit came with a little screwdriver. You simply take that out. There's a little screw in there. Unscrew that. Screw that one in. And there you go. Now you can mark into softer woods with the round tip. And I do believe that that is actually correct. If you use that, an inch is an inch, and so on down the line. One nice thing about this kit is that it didn't just come with one pencil marker. It came with a whole bunch of them, and I'm sure that I'll be able to figure out where to order more when that is needed. But being as how I'm not using it a ton, these here should last me a while. Now, what did I use this for exactly? Well, I used it on several different places, actually. I used it to mark out the back galley wall. I used it to mark out the front of the trailer, as well as all the way around that radius and all the way across the top. I also used it to mark out the floor thickness as well, because that will all come in very necessary in the future here. It also gave me an accurate line to measure off of to double check my measurements. If you would like to get yourself one of these, it is fairly heavy duty. Make sure to check out my tool list down in the description below. After doing some figuring, I realized that I had put the mark for the back galley once again in the wrong spot. So here you'll be able to see me trying to erase the original lines, and that just wasn't working. So I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna get the sander out, and that's what I did, and that worked a whole lot better. Get rid of those lines. And then you can see me here marking out for that back cabinet. Then I moved to the front of the trailer, or what will be the front of the trailer, and started marking out the headboard slash front storage area. Once I knew all the cabinetry locations and the door, I went around and mapped out about an inch away from any of the wood that would be used for those. That way I could figure out where I could and could not put insulation blocks. Once I figured out exactly where all that stuff was, then I was able to figure out where I wanted to leave any plywood, whether it was to screw into later or just have as extra bracing. And anything left over was basically where the insulation was going to go. So this is where I am at now after that time lapse. I have everything completely marked out, hopefully right, because I'm about to cut. But all of the places that you see the X is getting cut out. So for example, we got the door here. It has a big X in it because that whole piece gets cut out. Then we have 4 squares over here that are for where insulation will go. I have a spine joint right here, and there wasn't any sense to have any insulation between the door and the spine joint because it would end up being like just a sliver. So I left that out. Then I've got another piece of insulation here, here, as well as up here. So as you can see, back here we have the cabinet. And actually, I'm going to put one more little piece of insulation right up there. I forgot about that piece. So as you can see here, we've got the shelf. This here is the wood for it. I'm just going to do a 1/2 inch floor on the bottom, I think. And then we've got 1 inch to either side of everything that is like that. That is wood. So that we have plenty of stability. And then I've also got a stabling brace right here as well. And all of this in between the door and above the door will stay solid. So yeah, that's where I am at right now. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these out. The door frame actually has to be a little bit bigger than the door, so here you see me marking that out, and I just pretty much stayed in the middle of that with my saw. And with that, guys, the template is almost done. I still have to do a few things here, but as you can see, I've got all of the main areas for insulation cut out along with the door portion here. And I went ahead and added in a brace inside the cabinet here, just so that if I want to add in a shelf, I have a place to do so for a little extra storage there. And now comes the next step that I'm going to end up doing in the next video, which I do believe is going to be cutting slits with a router wherever there is a piece of wood going into it for the slots. Like back here where the shelf is, I have a 1/2 inch slot right here and a 3/4 one up here, so that it all kind of connects into the walls. And so I have to do some more reading, check up on that, see how that goes, as well as checking to see what I need to do for the divider galley here. So that will all be coming up in the next video. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you're notified whenever I come out with a new video. And until next time, you guys all have a good one.